All right. This is Clint from Norway too, hanging out with a couple of members of. Is the way you say the band's name? I don't want to butcher it too bad. Is it Baratro? Is the way you say it, or
Baratro? Yes, it's pretty close.
okay? I tried my best. Sometimes you don't really know, but I appreciate it. Why don't the two of you introduce each other, introduce yourselves, and kind of say what you do in the band?
Okay, I'm Luca. I'm the drummer for Baratro.
I'm Dave. I'm the bass player and the singer.
Cool. So the first thing I kind of want to talk about is how did this all come to be? Because you all came from different parts of the globe, pretty much. It feels like to be able to do this. How did this band happen to be?
Well, I guess I'll field this one. I moved to Italy back in 2016, and from there, I was still working with bands, like doing sound and still doing shows with Unsane at the time. And so I'd, go do the tours and then come back here. And I, since then, just built a life here. And then when the touring sort of slowed down and everything, right before the lockdown, a friend of mine, Federico, the guitar player, and I were chit-chatting and said we should start jamming. And we did just that. I already had a few songs in the bag from stuff that never made it to record on some of my other bands. So we started with that. And then Fede was friends with Luca, and he said, well, try calling this guy, see if he's available. And indeed he was. So first day he came in, we started jamming with him, and as they say, the rest is history. So that's how it started off, as a three-piece anyway.
Cool.
Yeah, and that is to say, illegal immigration also did good things for us,
Nice.
Now it's completely legal, by the way.
I'm legal though.
Very cool, very cool. So I kind of want to talk about these two records. So I've only listened to the two proper albums so far. Like that's the stuff I've really been digging and getting into. I didn't go back earlier. But I love the mix of like noise rock, sludge, and kind of hardcore elements kind of all mixed in. Was it hard to kind of bind all these elements together? Because it seems like sludge and noise rock kind of are sisters of a different mother, is I guess the best way I could say it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with it.
Yeah. Was it hard to mix all these influences together, or did it just kind of come from day one up with the band? So
I can say for myself, it comes from all the stuff that I like to listen to, So it's just a mix of the bands that I like. So some are noise, some are sludge, all kinds of stuff. I mean, I like Miles Davis and stuff too, but yeah, it's just it was just the natural progression of how I write riffs in general, I guess.
Yeah, well, I may add, we don't really make a conscious effort to go towards a certain direction musically. I would also say probably me and Federico, the guitar player, have more of a hardcore background. We've been in hardcore bands here in Italy. And so I guess that just translated naturally into what we do. One thing we probably tried to avoid was like sounding like our previous bands, each of us. So we didn't want to be like twin band of Unsane or Marnero, whatever other bands we were before, Cool. So that's probably the only effort we try to make.
Yeah, I guess it's true. And I think like when we all got together and started writing all together, because we started with those few songs that I already had, but we quickly developed our own songs all together in a room. So I think that sort of soup comes from that, you know what I mean?
Nice. Yeah, I was going to say you do not sound like the Unsane at all. So that's a very impressive thing. Yeah, that's a very impressive thing after all these years. So that's the first thing I was going to say. But I want to talk about the two records, and I kind of want to get your thoughts on them as well. So I'm going to kind of give you my vibe from listening to them from a fan's perspective, and then I want to see if maybe we're in the same, void of thought. So the first one, Sweet Smell. This kind of has more of that 90s and rep like noise rock vibe to me, where No Comply is more of a mix of sludgy, hardcore, and noise mixed together. Was that an evolution, or was that just like the old songs were more in your noise rock, repertoire, so that's kind of what you did?
Well, I think Sweet Smell was maybe even a bit of an extension of the first EP that we did.
Okay.
And being still a three-piece, we tended to write songs more like in that sort of wall of noise ethic, you know, which is very 90s, you know, style, I suppose. And, you know, something we like and we were very comfortable with and had done, or at least I'd done for many years anyway. But, and yeah, and I think Sweet Smells, like I said, just sort of came out as an extension of the first EP, and we had a little more time to work on those songs as well to like, I don't know, sort of fill the voids, I guess, that were left a little bit on the first EP. And No Comply was a bit of our friend Matteo Benici joined us, so that we are now a four-piece. And the addition of him playing cello really made us sort of refocus how we write songs, because it's important to all of us, I think, now at least, you know, since the last couple of records, that we write all together, and we're pretty lucky that we have a pretty easy time writing all together as well. And even getting a fourth member, like he jumped in and he got it immediately. But the songwriting changed in the sense that, like, having a cellist with us, we needed to leave a little more breathing room for him to shine through and like to actually even hear them. If we have that wall of noise going all the time, you're not going to hear a lot of cello going on in there, you know? So yeah, I think those are the main things of the main differences, I would think, in those two records. Luca wants to add something.
Yeah, I would say also, you know, after Matteo joined us, we didn't really have a clear purpose or direction. We were not sure what was going to come out of it, really, but we collaborated with him for the final song from the Sweet Smell, and we all felt like, you know, there was room for experimenting more with that, with him, really. And as he joined us in the practice space, things came out pretty naturally, and I guess in 6 months we had the core of what became the No Comply record. So it was it felt really smooth and natural, and also Matteo became a friend. So you know, the whole thing came together without a huge effort on our side. It was a beautiful thing. I think it was it's a nice evolution for us as a band.
Cool. Yeah, I was going to say the No Comply record has a lot more textural levels on it now with the cello and the arrangement. So very cool. I'm going to start talking about that record a little bit more, because that's the one I really dug into and really kind of fell in love with the band. So there's certain bands that I hear immediately when I listen to No Comply, and I kind of want to talk about a couple of them, because vocally there's one direction, musically there's another direction, I feel. But the like four biggest bands that I kind of mix together, like when I tell people, if you like these four bands, you're probably going to love this band, so check it out. So Cavity is one of the first ones. Like, okay, they mix kind of the elements of noise, sludge, and hardcore together in like this perfect layer, like you did. The other bands that kind of really, I feel, His Hero Is Gone, I hear a lot of, just because of, you remind me of that 90s hardcore, but they want to be a noise rock band kind of vibe. So like that's the other side of it. The other two bands are kind of a little more left of center. The other one is Sleepy Time Gorilla Museum. I don't know if you know who they are. Yeah, I love those guys. And it's because of the avant-garde things that you do. Like I feel like that they're crazy, noisy, and heavy, but they're jazzy and they're kind of really complex. And you do a lot of that. The last one is Dave, you probably know him as well too. I played with him many times, Surgery out in New York. But you kind of remind me of Surgery a lot, because there's this indie rock vibe that you guys
Surgery? Yeah.
Surgery. Yeah. Well, we know those guys from way back.
Dave, you probably know him for years, because I'm from New York as well, and we used to play with him.
Right.
So yeah, we used to play CBGB
forever, but yeah, we used to hang the same bars and stuff back in the day. So, but
yeah, and that's because of the indie rock element that I kind of hear mixed in with everything that's going on. So are any of those bands influences, or any of those bands fellow thought patterns, or did you come from a totally different place?
Yeah, I can't say honestly. It's, you know, I mean, I'm an older cat now, so my influences are pretty wide ranging. I can say none of those bands are truly influences. I was and still am a big Sleepy Time fan. But I can't honestly say that they've influenced my playing or my songwriting or anything like that. You know what I mean? I think it was a pretty astute, comparisons that you made. But yeah, like I said, like for me, it's just like I listen to all kinds of different stuff. Like it's not, I don't listen to like Slayer all day long. I will listen to Slayer, but I'll listen to Dave Brubeck in the next record, or you know what I mean? So I think, at least personally, like keeping music in my life like on a daily basis, varied, inevitably like seeps into my subconscious and comes out when I play, you know what I mean?
Sure. Luca?
Yeah, I think I mostly agree with what they've just said. I'm a big fan of the bands you mentioned, mostly Cavity and This Hero Is Gone. When I was younger, they had a big impact on me, but I wouldn't say when I play music, I don't really think of specific bands as an influence. Sometimes it happens that we come up with an idea or a riff, and we will tell each other, "Oh, this sounds a bit like this or like this other band," but it's never a conscious. Yeah, exactly. It's just that it's just the result of that day's flow,
Yeah.
And I think with No Comply, a lot of the the overall sound that we got came from letting the single instruments go their own way. Like the cello demanded some room for its frequencies to develop and write its texture. So we really tried to let stuff blend together without forcing it in any specific direction. That was really my focus, at least when we were writing.
Well, I don't think we've ever done that. Like even when we were a 3-piece, we'd get together in the space, and even before practicing, like for a show or something, we just wind up jamming on something, either like from a beat that Luca would start, or like a bass line that I would start, or a guitar line that Federico would start. And then we would just sort of organically build on whatever the first idea somebody, spit out there.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
It's the same dynamic, but with the added the cello. Like, so if he starts something, we're like, oh, that's cool. Like, let's find something like over that. So the song sort of just, layers itself like over whoever had the initial idea, I suppose. You know what I mean?
Now that I'm thinking about it, for this last record, I did make the decision to try and play less, less fills, less, to stay less busy, generally speaking, as a drummer.
I think we all did a little bit,
because I do have the tendency to, especially as back when we were a 3-piece, I will try to fill a lot of space, with busy beats and fills and stuff. And I felt like this new direction, this new lineup demanded more clarity and simplicity in the style of playing, and I tried to do that, but again, with no specific reference in mind, just this idea of keeping things to a minimum, like to be effective with the least amount of stuff going on. That was the goal.
Awesome. Yeah. So I want to talk about breaking down kind of the vocals, the guitar, the bass, the drums, the cello for a second as well too. So I'm going to start with the vocals. Dave, I think you have this really interesting vocal vibe on this new record versus. Well, I'm just saying, like the first record I listened to, The Sweet Smell, kind of it's more of a kind of a noise rock kind of love. It's a homage to that style. But on this one, No Comply, I can hear like the sludgy, throaty tones, but also mixed with like 90s indie rock. And the best way I want to kind of talk to you about this right now, and then we're going to dig into the other instruments and stuff, is it's kind of like, again, if like Cavity and Sonic Youth had like a love child, like that's kind of what it reminds me of. And the reason why I say it is, like, it's arty, but not over arty at times. But like, there is this nasty growl sometimes. Like, you get really angry at moments. So, can you kind of talk about the vocals on No Comply?
Yeah, I mean, you know, unfortunately, my voice is my voice. Sorry, I'm getting over a cold too, so it's not.
No problem.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird because with Unsane, I wasn't really like, you know, I sang a couple of songs on each record or something like that. But I guess that's where like I started a little bit like forming like how I'm comfortable singing, because I was never very comfortable with it. I would do backups and stuff like that, but to write a song from A to Z was always something that was like pretty challenging for me at the time. And I don't know, over time, and then you know, Unsane had split up for a few years in the late 90s. And I started another band called Players Club, where I did most of the singing on that. Well, with my friend Cooper too, but I certainly did a lot more, and that's where I got a lot more comfortable with I guess my voice. Like, nobody wants to hear their voice on tape, you know what I mean? So I kind of got over that initial shyness, I suppose. And then by the time I formed this other band called Pigs, like, I was really pretty like dialed in what I wanted my throat to sound like, I suppose. So, and then from there, that's kind of where I'm at with Baratro as well. It's just like I've returned. I guess the only difference maybe on this No Comply record is, being as the songs have a lot more space and a lot more, I would even say, melody at times, that I've attempted to squeeze in some melody with the screaming, you know. So that's like a new challenge. But I always do like to challenge myself in general, not to like do the same thing over and over again, because that gets boring. So yeah, it's just like a natural progression, I suppose, of trying stuff and hoping my voice keeps up with me. Yeah.
So, Luca, I want to talk about the drums for a second. And you already said something to me that like I was going to talk about. Like, the first record is almost like a war machine on the drums. Like, you try and make sure every space is full, and you said it already. So like, we don't need to talk about that again. But on the new record, it's almost tribal. And what I mean by, like, you wait for the right spots to play, and then when you play your ass off. Like, you play these parts that are just like, it's not something I would think of for that part in the song, but it works really well. So it almost is like, you know, an internal kind of vibe. You're like, okay, this is going to work here. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to show people what I can do. But there's other places where you hold back. Was it hard to be more reclusive or holding back on this record than the first record?
Well, I wouldn't say it was hard, but I felt like it was necessary, and I tried to stick with that idea, you know. And no, thank you for, you know, appreciating the evolution of the drumming. You know, I think it's just, I always have a personal way of approaching the instrument, you know. I never really sounded like specific drummers, I guess. I do have a very specific references for my sound. You know, for the slower jams in No Comply, I try to keep in mind Jason Roder's work in Neurosis. He's been a huge influence for me. You mentioned the tribal element, and he's the master of the stuff for me, at least. And after, of course, you know, all the classics, you know, Black Sabbath's Bill Ward is another huge influence. And yeah, I try to, you know, make the fields and the choices for the grooves count for the song they were designed for. So I, like I said earlier, less stuff, but trying to use it where it matters, you know. That was the idea. And as for the drum sound, I think I was pretty happy with the sound we got with the first two records. By the way, No Comply is the first time we went to a proper studio to record, so that made the process easier in terms of infrastructure, let's say that. And yeah, we fixed a couple things. We kept this approach to drum sound where we wanted the drums to sound huge, but at the same time natural. And I think we got it perfectly. I was very happy with the drum sound we got, and that made a really good foundation for the rest of the record to be recorded. I guess.
I think in general when we record too, like the first two records, like I engineered them, and then our buddy Trai engineered the last one. But we've worked together for years, so like he knows how important it is to us to like get sort of our live sound on record. Because like when I hear these overproduced records and you see the band live, it's like, well, that's not what they fucking sounded like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it was important to all of us to like really just capture what we sound like live and just, be able to get that on record. Which I mean, a lot of bands feel that way, but it's important to us too,
Good. Yeah. So I'm going to talk about the bass and guitars kind of as one piece of the puzzle, and then we're going to talk about the cellos in a second, because I feel like the two things feed off of each other in a very cool way. So the guitars and bass in particular kind of have the hypnotic tone to me. Like they feed off of each other in a very interesting way. Like if the bass is really noisy, the guitar is more clean. If the guitar is more clean, the bass is more noisy. Was that something that was done intentional? Because on the first record, it wasn't like that. But on this one, you can hear like you're playing off of each other. Like don't just be a wall of noise. Like mix the two, styles together. So
yeah. Well, Fede and I, because we jammed together for a while, like just us two. So we already had developed sort of a chemistry, you know what I mean, of like how we play off each other before Luke had even joined the band. And yeah, I'm sorry about my cold there, guys. But yeah, and I think Fede has a really good knack and a really good ear for when like he needs to like get chordy with it or just play high weird parts.
Yep.
Like he always, and it's weird because he's a much younger cat. He's 20 years younger than me, but he's a great guitar player. And I always told him, like, you remind me of the guitar player for the Stooges, like your ideas and the way you formulate your ideas. And like he really has this like dissonant, weird, wacky, like high stuff that he does that I love, And I think, when I'm just chugging along on low notes on the bass, it like really marries itself well. And for the new record, again, everything that we sort of, I won't say formulated, but the way we would write together changed in that sense, because leaving room for the cello made me step back a little bit too, like I simplified parts. I wasn't full blast all the time. I even played clean bass on some bits, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I feel like for Fede it was a bit of the same, mentality, where it's just like nobody wanted to just be over another one, you know what I mean? Like nobody wanted to be up front more than the other person. Like everybody needed their space to make the song work properly.
Yeah, and I think this leads us to the cello, in the sense that playing with Matteo, our cello player, we realized he added a beautiful layer of melody to what we were doing, and those melodies needed to breathe and to be understandable on a sonic level. So that we didn't really have a discussion about this, but we all just naturally reoriented our way of playing towards what he was doing, just to give him the chance to fully express what he was doing. Yeah. And I think of the cello in our band as some kind of weird second guitar, you know what I mean? Like because he can use it in very different ways. You heard the record, he has very noisy parts, very almost Kerry King on cello.
Exactly, I call him
parts.
Kings. He does like these
And,
solos every now and then.
and also he can write very beautiful melodies that really add another voice to the songs. It's like it's a layer of its own, and that really needed to be the focus of the new record. Well,
Yeah.
at least that's the way we perceived it.
And to Luca's point, also, it's our adjustments to welcome him into the band were like, once again, like very, it wasn't like, oh shit, I better do this, or you know what I mean? It was just instinctive in a way. It's not like we were like, oh, okay, well, he's going to do this part, so I better do this. It was just more like we started playing, and then it just naturally, our ears told us where to go with it. If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was going to kind of say something very similar about the cello. It kind of reminds me of, and I hope this reference fits well and you guys get what I'm talking about, but it kind of reminds me of the John Zorn style of music, where like Painkiller, like they can be classical and jazzy or the most fucking ferocious band on earth, like at the same time. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what the cellos remind me here. Like, I never thought like big band jazzy elements would work in this kind of stuff, but like the cello sometimes brings that element into what you do. And in other times, he reminds me of totally a wall of noise, John Zorn kind of thing, which is just freaking sweet. Yeah.
Honestly, for us too, like, you know, once we started this with Matteo, like Luca said before, it was right after that he had just added on the last track of Sweet Smell, but he did such a great job and we became real good pals with him after that. And that's when we decided, well, let's invite him in the band and see what we can write with him, you know. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. You never know.
Yeah.
You know, it could have been some corny disaster, but you know, in the end it like worked out really well, and like we're super happy with it and looking forward to, we even started writing for the next record, believe it or not.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. Very cool. So I want to kind of talk about, so you're on Supernatural Cat now.
Yep.
That is a very interesting label for your style of music. I feel like they've done more kind of doomy, fuzzed out, kind of experimental stuff. I don't think of Supernatural Cat for noise rock or like heavy kind of like sludgy stuff. How did you partner with them, and how did this all come to be?
I'll let Luca field that one, because
that was also, you know, very natural process, in the sense that Urlo, which is UFO Mammoth's bassist and also Supernatural Cat main person, he came to see us in Vigevano when we played a show with Cherubs and Canishorri. That was 2 or 3 years ago. 3 years ago. 3 years ago, and he liked us, and we had a chat after the show, and we stayed in touch. He said, you know, whenever you guys are going to record something else, let me know. We're gonna. They're kind of how to say it, the label was not that busy at the time, but he said, you know, we're gonna get back at it, because, you know, we're starting to see new bands that are kind of interesting for us. And so when we were done recording, he got back in touch again, said, I see you guys are recording, send us some stuff. We sent them the master when we were done recording, and they were happy with it. So here we go.
And I'd met Urlo a few times as well prior to him coming to our show, because I'd seen Ufa Mahmoud. We even played together with Unsane a couple of times at festivals. So, you know, and I really dig what he does as well. So I think there's also this sort of mutual respect amongst each other.
Absolutely.
And you know, we're really happy that we're interested in it, because it's not always easy finding a label.
Right. No, I don't disagree. I've been with the same label for 10 years now, just because on a happy accident, he liked my old band, came to me and said, hey, can I do an old record for one of your old bands? And I was like, we're not around anymore. As All Die. So he was like a Marshall industrial band. And Yeah, and he loved it. And so Stu from Aesthetic Death, which is the label I'm signed to now with my band The Slumbering, which is just basically me. I said, I got another project if you kind of want to hear it. I sent it over to him. He's like, yeah. And literally, I knew it was a good like partnership and brotherhood when he literally said to me, just know for the rest of your life, you're with me until you don't want to do any music. And I was like, okay. Thank you very much. So we're going on our 5th record together now, which will be out next year. So I just like that partnership and that kind of camaraderie is awesome. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, I think it's important too to have like some sort of, you know, mutual trust. Let's say, you know.
Cool.
Like, you never know.
Yeah. Go ahead. No, we finish your thought.
Oh, nothing. Is you never know. That was my thought.
Okay. Cool.
So no, and I also think the way things work in 2026 in the music business, having a direct relationship with the label guys, like getting to know them and hang out a bit, it's sort of necessary to cut through the incredible amount of noise that it's in the music business today. I mean, I can't imagine how many demos and records a label email is flooded with these days. So if you really want to have a chance, you know, that the label guys actually listen to your record, having a direct relationship is probably the only way to go.
Yeah.
I ran a small label myself for 15 years, and I can tell you, you know, out of 10 records I received in my email, I probably listened to 2, maybe. To be honest, because the amount was just insane, and I was just one dude. It was not. I was not trying to be an asshole, but you know, resources are what they are, and your time is what it is. So
yeah.
Cool.
I perfectly understand, you know, the point of view of people who actually have to work, have to make a record label work.
But 2 out of 10, you're kind of a jerk a little bit. No.
I was kind of a jerk.
No, definitely.
No, but again, because, you know, most of the stuff I released came from bands of friends, you know, bands of people that I actually knew and saw live, and etc. You know, that's just what it is. Like,
yeah, awesome. Thank you. So I want to talk about 2 records, 2 songs off the new No Comply record in particular. There's one, it's the reason why I'm having an interview with you today, because I heard that song and I was like, holy shit, who is this band and where did they come from? I had to go back and listen to the last record. So the first song I kind of want to talk about, which is not my favorite song, it's a song that made me want to talk to you today. It's Keep 'Em Needing. So like, when I heard that song, I was like, all right, this has everything that I love in it. Like, it's a mixture of all, like, I'm an old guy too. I'm 53. So like, I've been around for quite some time. And you gave me those vibes of that old 90s, early 2000s aesthetic of everything from heavy to not heavy music that I love in that song. So can you guys kind of talk about that song a bit and how it came to be?
Well, I can say the beginning idea for that song was Twin Peaks, David Lynch. I wanted to write like an atmospheric, weirdo, Lynchy kind of thing. I didn't know where we're gonna go with it, but like that was just the spark, let's say. And yeah, and from there we just went from there. We just started off like with that mellow sort of first part, and then just crescendos into what the song became, you know. But that was the initial spark, but then, you know, Matteo came up with his bits, and like everybody just started layering their bits on top, and so that was the seed, I guess I would say, that started the.
Yeah. I remember we had a conversation. We were like, you know, having a beer outside the practice space, and you know, Twin Peaks and Badalamenti's work came to the conversation. We were like, damn, we should try to do something like that, you know. And you know, we went straight back to it, and after, you know, we laid down some ideas, and after Matteo completed his parts, Keep 'Em Needing was the result, and we're pretty stoked about it. And we also invited a friend to play cigar box on the on the choruses, because, you know, he's He's a friend from my hometown who has been touring the world with his weird folk outlaw project. His name is Gypsy Rufina. He toured the States as well. And he was super into it. He sent us his cigar box tracks and he nailed it. Like it's this extra layer of weirdness to the songs, I guess. Yeah, that's how it came together.
Cool. So the song, which is my favorite on the record, and every time I hear it, it kind of puts a smile on my face, because this one kind of makes me relive my days touring and being a musician. It's Insidious. All right. So Insidious feels like something that I would have written 20 years ago, but with a modern flavor to it. So can you kind of talk about that song as well too? Because that's the song when it comes on, I'm like, okay, I listened to it 2 or 3 times. So.
Yeah, I mean, that was another one that came about pretty quickly in the practice space. It was just normally like I said before, what we would do, we'd come up with ideas. Just one of us would put up the iPhone, even if it's just 2 riffs, you know. So we'll just put it up there and like record those 2 riffs and then go on with what we're trying to do, practice the set or whatever. Next practice, we'd come back, go listen to those 2 riffs. It's like, okay, we definitely need a C part. You know, that kind of stuff. And Insidious, instead, like that one came about, we wrote the whole song, I think, in one day, like in one sitting. Like we didn't really have
just
too much.
Yeah, probably just the final part needed some
we reworked that.
Polishing. Yeah. But I think it was also one of the earliest jams we wrote.
The first ones, yeah. Not the first one, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because this whole collaboration with Matteo, who is now part of the band, started as, you know, we were releasing the first release shows for The Sweet Smell of Unrest. We asked him to come with us and play a few songs. And, you know, during sound checks, we will just jam with him. Mm-hmm. And the basic ideas that later became Insidious were born at that time. Yeah,
exactly.
In sound checks. Yeah,
that's the birth of it. It's true.
Cool. Thank you. No, I appreciate it. So here's kind of a thinking question. So I'm take a minute, think about it. I appreciate it.
I hate thinking.
That's gonna be hard, man.
yeah. So there's gonna be a couple of those now. So you're gonna hate a couple of these questions. I'm just saying. But
headache.
So if someone was about to hear you for the very first time and they didn't know you or know your past, how would you explain this band to someone that's going to hear it for the very, very first time?
That would be, I don't know. Classical.
You know, you just asked like the toughest question ever for people who play in a band. Like, you know that. I know.
Right? I'm a musician. I've gotten it asked to me, so I always think it's a good question. So
okay, let me try to phrase it.
Sure.
You're the poet. Go for it.
Oh, I'm the poet. Well, I think you mentioned like earlier meaningful influence. I mean, at least influences that make sense for us.
Right.
I would say, yeah, absolutely 90s M-rap bands, but also sludgier bands like Cavity, and bands that are like at the border between hardcore and noise, like Zero Is Gone. They're a good reference too.
Yeah.
And another band, I don't know how much they relate to us, but a band that comes often to my mind lately is Catharsis, because they had this they had this super militant stance, but also this very, you know, complex way of writing music. And yes, I somehow relate what No Comply is a bit to that also. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not sure I can phrase it any better than this, but yeah,
that's perfect. No, that's perfect. Dave, do you want to add anything to it at all, or?
Hey, it's a tough one. Let me think about it a little bit. I guess for me, again, the addition of the cello sort of took us out of the realm of like, you know, I can't really compare us to another noise band that's done this,
Yeah.
because like, I don't know of one, you know what I mean? But like, I don't know, some of the more like aggressive parts I would even attribute to more like Today's the Day stuff. We're good friends as well. But just because like just the intensity of Steve, like live, was always something that was just mind blowing to me. And he's such a sweet, nice guy in person.
Oh,
when you
I did I did 7 shows with him on a tour, and like,
there you go, you know.
So I did not expect Steve to be that person on tour at all when I was like just sitting down talking to him. So
yeah, he's a sweetheart, but like you see him play live, and he's like a total maniac. He's amazing, like in the best way possible, you know. And I don't know, I would say like the sort of gnarlier aspect of what we do, you know, I try to explain to people, like when we get gnarly, like we try to sort of emulate a bit of that intensity, you know.
nice.
Another thing that just came to my mind is that in a few reviews, like the adjective cinematic came out, and you know, speaking of No Comply, and in that regard, a band that I would mention is probably Godspeed You Black Emperor, because that both for the songwriting aspect, I think, and for the general sound, you know, of the whole ensemble, I think we kind of sometimes we have the same vibe, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I feel that could be a good comparison also. I mean, they're awesome. They're one of the I saw them 3 or 4 times live. Amazing band. Like not many bands in the world sound like that. So
no, I've seen them twice. They're phenomenal. I don't disagree.
Yeah,
cool. So next question is going to be another one of those thinking questions. I'll get them out of the way, so you don't got to worry. Over the 2 records, has there been any reviews or any like blurbs that you've seen that have completely just made you rethink the band or the music that you create? Like, is there something that was said was like, oh, I never thought of it this way, but oh, hell yeah, they're absolutely right. You know, we do sound like this, or we do this style of music.
Not for me, I can't say particularly. Both records have been received fairly well, so there wasn't anything, you know, some people are more critical than others, of course, and everybody's got their own opinion. And plus, I don't think a review per se would make me change my mind about what I'm doing. I mean, and you know, I mean, it's always nice when people, you know, enjoy your music and they write nice things about it. But I even remember back in the Unsane days, like if people really hated the record, like I really enjoyed those too a little, like just to see how venomous they can get. But so far for us, that hasn't really happened, honestly. Like it's been pretty well received all around. So.
No, I wouldn't say there have been specific reviews that you know had let's say an upsetting tone to them, but it's interesting that every now and then someone finds elements in our music that we never really thought of, and that happens fairly often, and that is something that I enjoy, in the sense that I mean, that's the cool thing about art in general, I would say, not just music. Like you create your thing, you know, which in the end it's just a representation of what you're feeling in that moment, and once it's out in the world, other people see it through their own experiences, through their own, you know,
true story.
Feelings, through their own feelings, and they make something different out of it. And that's I think it's the best part about, you know, being in a band, or, you know, making art, really. Like it's an act of sharing, it's an act of communication with other people in the end.
True. I think it's good and important to leave things open to interpretation as well, to have people be able to interpret their own idea of what they think it is, you know, and not have it explained to them, basically.
Like, after I don't know if it really fits with what we're saying right now, but we played a show in Clermont-Ferrand in France a few months back, and I was talking to this dude after the show who was very interested about my drum tuning. And at some point he was a drum nerd, of course.
Of
And
course.
at some point he mentioned, that thing you were playing in that song kind of reminded me of Tony Williams. I was like, dude, Tony Williams, really? I was like,
Wow.
I'm like, it's flattering, but I'm not worth a nail of Tony Williams. You know what I mean? But that's the thing. Like, and later thinking about it, I kind of got what it was trying to say. I kind of understood the reference. It was a very, very broad comparison, but that's that kind of stuff happens, and it's interesting. Like, it's interesting to have this conversation about people who, use their time to listen to what you're doing and find their own interpretation of it. That's a beautiful thing. That's for me, it's one of the main reasons I keep doing this.
Cool. So here's the last of the thinking questions, Dave. I'll stop it from here. Yeah. All right. So if you could take one of your songs from any time frame, any record, I don't care, put it in a time cap, wait 20 years, and see if it stands the test of time, which song would you put in to have that 20-year test of time?
Oh, wow. Any, like, from this band or from any band I've been in?
From any band you've been in.
Wow. Well, I have to say, I did some stuff with Pigs and Players Club that I listened back to pretty recently. Not all of it stands the test of time, but some of it I thought did, Yeah, pick one song.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. That's really a thinker right there.
Yeah.
I mean, and with Baratro too, I think, like, especially with this new record, like, I feel that a lot of these might stand the test of time. Maybe that remains to be seen because it's brand new, but I don't know. If I had to pick an old one, I would have to pick the song called Drag that I wrote with Players Club many years ago.
Cool. Thank you. So I'm going to kind of turn the tables now for a second and kind of say, is there anything on these last two records that you would like to change that now you've had some time to listen to them?
Change? I don't know. Playing with Matteo really, like, for me, like, elevated the joy of songwriting more. I mean, it's not that I hated it before, but it just inserted such a new, like, dimension to it that I really, really dig. That if we could go back and have Matteo play on more tracks, perhaps on Sweet Soul, that would be my thing.
Yeah, I think what happened with Matteo is that it kind of took some pressure off each of us as individual musicians. You know what I mean? Like, it gave us more freedom to, really focus on more the finest details of playing. You know what I mean? Like, when we were a trio, most of the time we were playing full blast from start to finish, and having him join the conversation, like, really gave us the chance to focus on more subtle stuff, more subtle aspects of songwriting. That's my feeling.
In general too, I think, like,
and personally speaking, every time I'm finished with recording something, like 2 weeks later, I'm like, okay, that part could have been better. Like, usually I come up with different fields or ideas that only pop up after I'm done recording. But I think that happened for each and every single record I was a part of. So I guess it's just the name of the game. And speaking to other musicians, specifically drummers, it's like, yeah, now that the record is out and I've played like 20 shows, supporting it, I play songs completely in a completely different way, or
Sure.
fields are completely different because I no longer have to focus on the structure and the basic stuff. So yeah, I guess it's just inevitable.
No, thank you. So I'm gonna kind of close it up here. First of all, thanks for doing this. I really appreciate you guys' time. It's been
man.
fun as hell to talk to you.
Thank you, Glenn.
Any closing thoughts? Anything that's going on with the band over the next couple of months that you guys want to talk about?
Well, we got a couple more shows coming up, then a little break, and then more shows in the fall. So come on down and rock your socks off.
Nice.
Yeah, we're gonna be playing a couple shows in Italy and then a few across France and Belgium in November, and hopefully we'll do a longer run next spring, and we'll see. We've also discussed the possibility of playing the US in the past, but as of now, it's not really feasible. So
Right.
if the opportunity comes up, would be stoked to do it. Let's see what the future brings.
Yeah.
No, Dave, Luca, thank you so very much for doing this. I really appreciate it. Love the new record. Really starting to get into the previous record too, because I've had some time to kind of dig into it now. And I'm going to listen to the EP because I haven't listened to the EP yet at all. So I want to hear like the early days of what you guys are doing too. But no, again, it's been an absolute pleasure. I'm glad I get to talk to bands like yourself, and we get to have these kind of deeper dives of conversations, not the same questions all the time. It just feels fun to be able to talk musician to musician sometimes. So
absolutely, yeah.
Our pleasure too.
Thank you for having us, man.
Yeah, thank you again. Like again, thank you for doing this. Your new record is phenomenal. People absolutely need to listen to it. Continue doing what you're doing. I can't wait to hear the next one as well.
Coolio.
Amazing. We'll keep you posted, man. Thanks for having us.
Thank you, guys.
Bye. Have a nice day.